Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Welcome to The Ray Taylor Show, where I bring you the reviews on the latest movies and TV shows, as well as classic and foreign films. I'm your host, Ray Taylor, and on this podcast, I'll be talking about all things film and television. Whether you're looking for a new show to binge or want to know if that movie is worth the trip to the theater, or just want to hear my thoughts on a classic or foreign film, I've got you covered. So join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for new episodes, and let's dive into the world of film and television together. Today's episode, I am talking about the Best Picture nominated film for the 2023 Oscars, Triangle of Sadness. This is a movie that came out last year, 2022, written and directed by Ruben Östlund, and stars Harrison Dixon, Charles Dean, Dolly De Leon, Zlotko Burek, and Woody Harrelson. This is a movie about two models who go on a luxury yacht cruise with other very ultra-wealthy people, and things take a big turn. That is about as vague as I want to be. I want to be as very careful not to spoil this movie. I will have a spoiler section later on, as I always do. But this is a movie that I knew nothing about other than it was nominated for Best Picture. I knew that this director had also done a film entitled Force Majeure, as well as others that I have not seen. I had seen the remake of Force Majeure, which was not very good. I've heard the original is better. And I heard this movie was good. Other than that, I had no idea what this movie was about, other than I wanted to watch it because it's nominated for Best Picture. At the end of this week, I'm going to be ranking all of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture at this year's Academy Awards. So this being one of them, looking forward to it, going to be ranking them. A lot of reasons why I watched this movie. And overall, I got to say, I love this movie. And like some other movies I've watched recently, it is a movie that when it started, not knowing what it was about, when it was starting, for, the first part of this movie, the first act of this movie, I wasn't a fan of this movie. I didn't know where this movie was going. But then it takes a turn and it becomes a movie that I absolutely loved. The setup of this movie, as I said, kind of takes a while. It's kind of a slow burn to get everything set up. But I tell you, when it turns, there is a turn in this movie. It is so well worth all of the slowly paced, frustrating things that are happening, annoying nature of this movie. That is almost the first half of this movie. It is so worth the wait. Right? This movie had me laughing, cheering, like literally cackling, not just normal laughter, like cackling in laughter. This had me like, this movie full of dark humor, no punches are pulled, right? If you've ever worked in the service industry on any level aspect of that, I would bet all of my money that I ever make in my entire lifetime that you would love this movie. So let me kind of leave that there, that I would highly recommend this movie if any of those things kind of sound like, ooh, that sounds good. Amazing. Like, I had such a fun time watching this movie. So surprising. It is 2.5 hours long. It takes its time to get started. But I'm telling you, once the rubber hits the road, metaphorically, in this film, it gets, not only does it get good, it gets so good and then only ups the goodness that it shows and portrays, and the actions and the events of this movie only get better and crazier, and like, I had no idea where this movie was going, right? And I am so happy. I did not watch the trailer. I didn't even read the description. And I would recommend do not do either of those things. Don't watch any trailers, right? Don't even look at the trailer, right? Even if the audio's off, even to see images that the trailer shows is too much of a spoiler. It may not ruin the entire experience, but it will show you where this movie is going, and you don't want to know. It's so much better to go in as blind as possible into this movie. Highly recommend it. I recommend that for every single movie. I think trailers, the majority of the time, 99% of the time, trailers ruin movies. They do nothing to make a movie better ever. Never. Sometimes even the posters spoil things. Sometimes just the descriptions of movies spoil things. Just in the smallest ways. And I would say to try your best to avoid all of those things. Just go over. I think this movie's on Hulu. Could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu right now. Go over to Hulu. Don't look at anything. Just hit play. Don't read. Other than the title, Triangle of Sadness, don't spend too much time looking at anything else. Just hit play. Watch the entire thing. And you will thank me. I'm pretty sure you'll thank me. There's definitely, I guess, some people, maybe there'll be a warning later on. There's definitely, even if you're in the service industry, there's a small percentage of people that may not be able to watch this movie because of some of the things that happen, but they happen to people that you are kind of happy they're happening to, at least for me. So I would say amazing. Don't look at anything, because I even read the description of this movie, and the description of this movie, not on IMDb necessarily. I think I read the description on Hulu itself, and the description gives away too much. So don't do that. Right? This movie, it just overall, in general, makes me so happy to watch a movie and not be spoiled. To just go on a ride and not know at all where things are going, let alone having scenes and dialogue spoiled. And this movie also makes me happy not to be in the service industry anymore. Food service, sales, even doing driving with like Uber and Lyft, delivery, like food delivery, all of the things that I've done in my life to make money and to survive, that is not making art, that is not recording a podcast, but everything that kind of requires me to deal with people, it's just, my opinion, most people are kind of disgusting, horrible monsters. At least if you work in the service industry enough, that is, people can be nice. People can be nice 90% of the time, but the moments where they are the worst kinds of people are usually to somebody who is in a uniform, has a name badge, and is clocked in somewhere. Those are the people that get, even the nicest people will turn into assholes. And maybe not everybody, but most people, especially maybe around the holiday season, maybe people just coming out of a place that absolves them of all their sins, at least in my opinion. Anyway, right, Triangle of Sadness, and apparently this won't spoil anything, but something very interesting that I found out. The title of this movie refers to many aspects of this movie, I would say, but in the beginning you find out the title is spoken by a character, which is always a fun moment when a movie does that, when a piece of dialogue is actually the title of the movie. But apparently it's the triangle that forms on your forehead when you're sad. They call it the Triangle of Sadness. And when I started watching this movie, I thought that was in reference to what this movie was trying to make the audience feel. Trying to make the audience feel sad. I was very wrong about that assumption. But either way, interesting that that's what that's called. I don't think that spoils anything. Just an interesting factoid that I learned from this movie. Part of this movie is male modeling. You find out a little bit about male modeling. Find out it's not about modeling, right? Fashion industry. I mean, when this movie starts, it is these male models auditioning to be part of a fashion show. And so when I thought when this movie started, I thought, oh, this is going to be like a commentary on male modeling or a commentary on the fashion industry. It's not. It's not at all. And I was kind of interested because fashion and modeling and those things are so far removed from any kind of reality that I exist in. I've never really cared about fashion. I'm not a fashionable person. I'm colorblind, so a lot of the times the clothes that I'd worn throughout my life didn't quote unquote match. So it's oblivious to me. And just that lifestyle of being emaciated and unhappy all the time is kind of, I don't know. It's such a weird existence. And I thought maybe I was like, okay, that's going to be interesting. Despite the fact that I feel like most of that is just a bunch of people who are very pretentious and arrogant and fake. You know, people that are into those sorts of not necessarily. That's a very blanket statement to make about people who are into fashion and things. But people in that industry, I don't know. It's just there's a lot of different aspects of the overall art industry that turn me off to even being a participant in it, and the pretentiousness and the arrogance and just the overall fake, this kind of demeanor people put on to act like they are superior, their opinions are superior, that their thoughts and ideas are somehow superior, is kind of disgusting. And they're just a bunch of things that, you know, are valued in certain industries and certain things that I had the complete opposite feeling towards, right? And this is a movie where you sympathize, let me say. You sympathize with people that are in this movie. And I don't know. I should probably don't. I don't even want to talk too much into those things, that those things even exist in this movie yet, till before I get to spoilers, right? And I would say, like, the movie itself, when I noticed things start to, like, oh, here we go, right? Where I felt like, oh, this is the movie I'm here. This is where it's got, like, this is where I started getting the inkling of, like, oh, what I thought this movie was about isn't. It's setting up a lot of things, a lot of characters, and once there's the turn and you see where this movie is going, it takes about an hour. It's a 2-hour and 30-minute movie, so the majority of the movie is amazing. And I would say that the last hour and a half of this movie is so much better because you spent that solid hour getting to know these people, their situation they're in, the kind of things that's like so concerning to them, and like it is well worth that slow burn annoyance to get to where everything changes and things get like crazy, right? Like you have, I'm not in spoilers yet, right? No, this is just because some of these things in my notes are even more spoilery than I want to speak about. I mean, there's moments in the beginning of the movie where two characters are like arguing at a table at a restaurant. And it's a situation that's kind of like a situation you would see in Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is a show that I am not into. I love Seinfeld, have tried many times to get into Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it's just so frustrating and uncomfortable to watch that show because of the things that are complained about, and it's just like I don't know. It's just it's not the same for me as Seinfeld at all. Where Seinfeld I love, where Curb is a little bit too real and just feels like privileged people complaining about dumb shit. And there's a moment in this beginning of this movie where I was like, okay, this is kind of like Curb Your. Is this what the movie's going to be like? Very like even less funny Curb Your Enthusiasm, where there's going to be all these kinds of difficult, uncomfortable arguments and conversations. That is just part of setting these characters up, right? I want to get into spoilers. Enough of this dancing around, right? Enough of this dancing around. I'm going to get into spoilers. This is a great movie. It's also a movie, I should say, that it definitely, some of the themes that it discusses is themes of like the haves and have-nots, the wealthy people and the everyday working class type of a person. You see how power dynamics in society can change, like when those things are changed, how different, how massively different everything gets. You see how absurd it is, how people are treated so much differently who have certain things that, you know, like whether it's money or beauty, how certain people are treated a certain way for no other reason but those things. And then the people that actually do the work that make everything run, how they are always treated like the lowest rung of concerned and like level of humanity. And this movie flips those things on their head in an amazing way. So the themes that this movie discusses, very interesting. And like there's aspects of this movie that if you've worked as, you know, if you're somebody that works a job, you do work, you make somebody else a billionaire, and you're getting, oh, I don't know, anywhere or any, like an hourly wage almost of any kind, because most places that are giving people hour, I mean, even if you're a salary person, if you're the person that does all of the work, does the dirty work, does the hard work, and meanwhile your CEO makes 1,000,000% more money than everybody else, then you're going to enjoy this movie. And it really, like, the power dynamics change in the most interesting ways. The ride that you go on where this movie ends versus where you start is so completely different, so completely removed from anything I would have thought. Now, of course, if I had seen the trailer or anything or read a description, then I probably would have not been as surprised. I would have expected to get there at some point, which takes so much of the joy of watching this movie and being on this ride away. But there are times in this movie where I am like out loud saying, oh shit, like putting my fist in front of my face. I am reeling. I am like cringing. I am like, my mind is being blown with what I am seeing happen. Like the level, the absolute, like there are moments in this that like reminded me of scenes watching a Jackass movie where you're just seeing things that you wouldn't necessarily expect to ever have seen, and now you're seeing them. And because certain things are happening to certain people, it is so positive. It is cringy, but in the most positive way. You know, clapping, cheering. I had all the emotions watching this movie, right? It does so much, speaks about capitalism, speaks about, it's all of the things, right? Definitely one of my favorite movies. This would have been, I recently did my top 5 movies of last year. I hadn't seen this movie yet. This would have been either my number 2 or number 3 slot. It would have been Everything Everywhere All at Once, probably RRR, and then this movie. Maybe switch RRR in this movie, but I think it would be top 3, easy. And an amazing movie. So let's take a quick break from this episode to talk about Attention all Ray Taylor Show fans! We're excited to announce we've just released a line of exclusive merchandise featuring original artwork inspired by the show. Our high-quality shirts and biodegradable phone cases are a perfect way to show your support for the show and make a great gift for any fan. Plus, with each purchase, you'll be helping us continue to bring you great content. So don't wait. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com now and check out the full collection. Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll show your support by grabbing some Ray Taylor Show merchandise today. And now, let's get back to the show. I want to get into spoilers. I'm tired of dancing around on this thing. Right? A warning, do not listen or watch this unless you've already watched the movie. Please. I mean, obviously, do whatever you want, but don't watch the trailer. Don't read any descriptions. Just go to Hulu, hit play, come back, listen to my thoughts. See how my thoughts and your thoughts may align or disalign after you actually watch this movie. You can pause. You can pause and come back. But I would not watch this or continue if you haven't watched this movie. Right? Especially if you're somebody that works or has worked at any point in the service industry. Right? You know what? And I would say every CEO, every millionaire or billionaire who maybe is watching or listening to this, you should watch it too. You should watch it too. But, you know, you might not enjoy it as much. So anyway, this movie starts. Okay, this spoiler section. Okay, this movie starts, and I'm thinking this is some commentary on modeling. It's like this guy doing a video about these guys waiting to audition to be part of like some runway performance or whatever. And they're talking about modeling. They're talking about kind of the modeling industry, right? It shows... And there's also this relationship between these two models. This is man and woman who are both models. She is, you know, we already find out because of this movie that women get 3 times paid, get 3 times more. It's like the one industry where women get paid exponentially more than men, right? And there's this dynamic in this relationship of these two models where the woman gets paid way more and she still acts and behaves in a way where the man in the relationship is assumed to pay for everything. That is one of the uncomfortable Curb Your Enthusiasm kinds of discussions that they have at a restaurant. The bill is put down. He notices she doesn't even flinch, act like she's even though she said she was going to pay for it, doesn't even consider reaching for it, just waiting for him to do it. And then when he does it and then brings it up, she's like, oh, I'll do it, right? But obviously not really wanting to do it, and we find out not even able to do it. But it's like this uncomfortable conversation, uncomfortable argument of these two people arguing over who's going to pay the bill. Like, would not be surprised if there is multiple instances on Curb Your Enthusiasm about this topic, about who pays the bill, why is it just so automatic in a world where everybody's supposed to be equals for men to be assumed to just pay for the bill. And that's not always, but this situation, right? And I'm like, okay, and it's like the less funny version. Not that I'm even enjoy Curb Your Enthusiasm, but this is just frustrating. It's just uncomfortable, right? And then they have an argument. They go back to the hotel, and under his breath, like he leaves, and he's just walking through the hotel, and he like murmurs under his breath, bullshit feminists, like after their argument, right? Clearly, she pretends to be a feminist, but then is still acting in these arcane kind of arbitrary roles of sex dynamics, gender dynamics, right? And then she comes back and she admits to him that she was manipulating him. And she just does it automatically, right? She noticed that she was doing it. And as she does it, you know, it doesn't bother her, and I'm like, okay, well, at least like her admitting that, like that made me enjoy this movie a little bit more. It was like, okay, at least like there's some self-awareness, and we're not just, maybe this is going to dig deeper into that kind of situation. It doesn't, right? And they're dating because it's like a business thing for them, right? Two models dating is only going to help elevate both of their Instagram followers, and that's all they care about. Because she knows, as a model, that she's only got a finite time to make her money, and then she's not going to go work at a grocery store. She's not going to go get a normal job. She, like, her out that she is openly knows and tells him is that she's got to marry some rich guy, right? That's her out. When time is, she's going to be the trophy wife, right? It's her business. That's her life plan. So he couldn't be unless he gets rich somehow, which he's in an industry where he makes 3 times less than her. So it's a relationship that has an expiration date on that, and they're open about that. It's like, okay, that's interesting, right? And he's like, I bet you that I'm going to make you fall in love with me. And I was like, oh, this is what the movie about. It's like a romantic drama thing, and maybe it's trying to be a comedy, right? Maybe trying to be like a romantic comedy, like a Curb, but with romance. It's not what this is about. But that's like, okay. For me, watching this, I'm like looking for anything in this movie to be like, okay, please be interesting. Please don't just make me feel uncomfortable and disgusted at these people that make tons of money and they're complaining over the most trivial bullshit. Right? Also kind of reminding me of past relationships, which is just like, I don't need to be reminded of my most toxic relationships in a movie that I'm not really enjoying anyway. Right? But these like bets that, oh, I'm going to make you fall in love with me. She's like, okay, yeah, let's see that happen. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's see how he does it. Right? And then this movie's like chapters, and that's like the first chapter, right? About these 2 people. Her name's like Yaya or something like that. What's her name? Carl and Yaya. That's what the first chapter is, right? And then we get to the second chapter, which is the yacht, right? So they are going on this trip, this model couple. They're going on this trip, this luxury yacht that like other ultra wealthy people go on, which, since we're in spoilers, the descriptions say they are on a cruise with billionaires. Now, I don't know that many billionaires. I only know a couple, right? The ones that are in popular culture, like an Elon Musk or Jeffrey Bezos. I can't imagine any of those guys going on a luxury yacht that is shared with other people. I would imagine they all own their own private yachts and don't want to share their recreational time with just other people who bought tickets. But anyway, so I don't buy that this luxury yacht is full of billionaires, as the description says. It's definitely very wealthy people that, like to go, like they don't go on trips on the water enough to want their own, but they will go where the experience is going to be very high end, and they kind of can get whatever they want, and they can kind of, it is, and they're around other wealthy people. They don't have to be around normies, right? And then again, both of the models, they're out sunbathing, taking pictures. Like, he's always taking tons of pictures for her, right? He's her photographer, right? And he takes some pictures of himself. And there's a crew member that takes off his shirt and says hi to her, and she says hi. And the boyfriend's like, another uncomfortable argument about like, oh, are you flirting with the guy? Like, would you like that if I was like laughing and flirting with like some female? And it's just like, oh my God, is this happening? And while this argument is happening, there is a fly that is buzzing around. So this is intentional, because not only is this fly constantly in frame buzzing around, but there is audio of this fly buzzing around, and it is loud audio, right? This is intentionally there. The director made sure that there is loud buzzing fly audio buzzing around these people as if they're 2 piles of shit, which I don't know where this movie is going, but it just only adds to my frustration, adds to like, why am I watching this thing? It is so frustrating. Like, I don't care about these people. I don't care about their, like, I'm at this point, I'm like, I don't care if he gets her to love him. I don't like him. I don't like her. I don't like the influencer kind of, like, everything revolves around their own aesthetics, and everybody else is like, ew, get away from me, right? Very, it's so the fly adding to that. Like while I'm watching it, very like flies bug the shit out of me. I got a fly flying around here while I'm recording, and before I hit record, I'm like, this fly is going to make me go insane because it's going to be flying around, and it's happening in this scene, and it's annoying, and it's clearly intentional while watching this scene, right? And they're taking their pictures, like she's pretending to eat pasta, even though she doesn't eat pasta. But she, taking all the fake Instagram photos, like, oh, they're having this amazing time on this luxury cruise that they were given tickets to. They didn't pay for it, but that's one of the types of privileges you have as a beautiful person in the world. You get free things. The same thing as if you're ultra wealthy people, famous people, they get free stuff like the people that don't need free shit get free shit all the time. All the time. So they're on this luxury yacht because they got free shit. And then, like, there's a scene where he sees the crew member that he complained about. He's like, he goes down and talks to, like, the head of the crew. And it's like, there's this crew member, and he took his shirt off, and he's like, kind of annoying. And then she's like, oh, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. They're good at what they do. They want those tips at the end of the trip. And he sees this guy get kicked off the boat, right? And he's like all sad. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm thinking all this stuff is part of it. It's not. None of this is part of it. Him trying to get this woman to fall in love doesn't matter. His regret over this guy ultimately probably saved this guy's life, right? Then you have this old lady, this rich old lady, who thinks she's like, oh, I'm doing this amazing thing. I'm going to have the crew join me. I have this waitress, this woman who's waiting on me hand and foot. She's going to join me in that. We're going to switch roles. I'm going to pretend to be doing her job. And then she can pretend to be me. This is going to be so fun, right? This like cosplaying as a worker type of thing. Meanwhile, they never actually do any work, but it's so like recreational for wealthy people to do this like cosplaying as a normie. And you see this old woman, this rich woman whose husband has his side piece there, or maybe it's his daughter. I don't really know. But clearly he buys her whatever. He's the shit king. He made all his money selling fertilizer. And his wife is like, ooh, I'm like, she's probably patting herself on the back. It's like, ooh, I'm giving these crew members this amazing opportunity to enjoy themselves at work. And she somehow convinces them to all go swimming, right? So they end up having to get the entire crew, from the server people to the cleaning staff, to the engine room, to the cooking staff, lined up in like the most unhappy line of people waiting to go down this inflatable slide that goes into the water, just one after the other. And the rich old lady's like, yay, I'm so amazing. Look at all the fun I'm creating. Meanwhile, they're like, all of our work is going to be shit now because we're falling behind. We're not having fun. We're just single file line going down the slide after going down the slide. It is sad to watch. And it's just, you have like these people that like another old lady complaining about the sails being dirty, and there are no sails on this luxury yacht. And even after she's told that there are no sails, she's like, oh, honey, in the brochure, there were sails, right? Yes, honey, there were sails. We saw it in the brochure. Like, there's so many people. It's like all these old rich people are triggering me to the days where I had to work in the service industry, and these people would come in and they think that they're completely bonkers, just like so like batshit crazy, have no idea what they're talking about. And like, because they're so used to just everybody agreeing with them because they're wealthy, and like, people don't want to lose their livelihoods because they disagreed. They just have to go along. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, we'll make sure those sails get clean. It's like so mind-numbingly frustrating. All of these things, right? And then and of course, Woody Harrelson is amazing. It was like, he was a breath of fresh air when he finally comes out. He's this captain who's wasted. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Okay. I'm just looking for any morsel in this movie to be like, please give me something to like. And then there's the captain's dinner where the captain finally comes out. He's like barely understands what's going on, saying everybody. Before it starts, you see that the yacht is like heavy, like rough waters. Things are moving during this meal. And this is the moment where things start to go insane. This is the moment where everything like comes together. All of these people, whether it's the shit king guy, whether it's these model influencer people, whether it's the old couple who sells grenades, have made their fortune selling arms to governments, right? They make military weaponry, like talking about how like the Geneva Code hurt their business. All of these like horrible people that the thing is taking its time setting up, making me hate this movie for showing me these people. And then the captain's dinner happens. And this is the moment where everything changes, right? This is extra spoilers if you're still watching, where like by far the most visceral and accurate throwing up of one person after another. You have all the like the servers like trying to encourage them to eat as a way to keep them from throwing up, and they're all drunk. The boat's like going side to side, and it is the most accurate vomiting I have seen in anything. Like, it looks like everybody's visibly throwing, not everybody, but it's like one after the other. And it's like, I'm like enjoying the fuck out of this. I am cheering, I am cackling, I am cringing, like, because it's disgusting. Now, people that don't like, if you're a emetophobe, you don't like vomit, this is probably just get past this. People don't puke forever, but this is definitely the turning point. And it's like, part of it is the food. They're eating all kinds of seafood that had to be put on hold while they were, and the cook is like, the food's going to go bad. So part of it is the boat shaking back and forth. Part of it's the food probably went bad. So everybody has seasickness. Everybody probably has food poisoning, except for the captain. He's eating a burger and fries, and everybody else is eating these like super fancy dishes, and they're all throwing up. It is like chaos. People are falling down. A guy like has a heart attack. It is like absolute chaos. I am loving it because all of these people are like, it's like the sea in this movie, the ocean in this movie is attacking all of these horrible people in the best way. It is so great, right? And it gets to the point where they like get back to their cabins, still throwing up in the hallways, throwing up everywhere, just like it is chaos. Somebody has a baby, like, which is just mind-blowing that a baby would be allowed on a luxury yacht. It shows like this naked old dude who's like exploding out of both ends on his toilet. It is like so viscerally disgusting and at the same time absolutely epic and absolutely amazing, right? Let's take a quick break from this episode because I want to promote. Are you looking for a way to take your love of The Ray Taylor Show to the next level? Look no further than Inspired Disorder Plus. As a member, you'll get access to a whole host of amazing perks, including the full week of shows, ad-free in both audio and video versions, a live painting archive, early access to the many faces, members-only discounts and deals, a podcast back catalog with over 600 episodes. But that's not all. As a member, you'll get access to my personal blog as well as my creative writing. You'll also get the chance to ask me anything you want. With all of these benefits and more, Inspired Disorder Plus is a must-have for any fan of The Ray Taylor Show. So don't wait. Go sign up now. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and start enjoying all of the amazing perks of the membership. And now, let's get back to the show. And meanwhile, you have, as this dining hall clears out, you have the shit king, this Russian guy who got rich selling fertilizer, you know, having a blast with the captain. They're going back, sharing quotes. The rich shit king guy is throwing like pro-capitalist, anti-communist, anti-socialist quotes at the captain. The captain is throwing pro-socialist, anti-capitalist quotes right back at him. I'm like, yes, I love this captain. It's like, this is so amazing. And then the Russian guy's like, oh, look at us. I'm a Russian capitalist and you're a American communist, right? I love it. And Woody Harrelson's like holding his own, getting this guy wasted. They're playing like a card game where it's like, guess if the card's red or black, and he's just like making this Russian drink shot after shot of whiskey, getting completely wasted. Everybody else is in complete hell. This is like hell on the ocean for these people, right? It is amazing. And then you have this Russian somehow gets to the captain's quarters where there is a microphone for the PA system, and he gets on there and he's just like wasted, and he's like telling everybody the ship is going down, so everybody gets freaking out. They're like dying, they're vomiting, the ship's going all over the place. They put on like their life vests. It is like the worst kinds of like things are happening to these people. Are living in their hell. This is hell for them, and I am loving every bit of it. I'm like, yeah, it just keeps getting worse for them. It keeps getting worse. Oh, now there's this PA system. There's this Russian on this PA system saying that the boat is going down and laughing, and it's just like the most. It is like Satan on the microphone telling them they're all gonna die, right? And then you see like the maids come out to start cleaning up the mess in the dining room. Right, and they're all like well-oiled machine. They've dealt with all of this before. They got their headphones on, and then the heavy metal music kicks in. I'm like, this movie just goes up another notch. I'm like, yeah, here we go. And they're just scrubbing the ground. It's like there's this heavy metal music going on. I'm like, yes, this is amazing, right? And then this movie goes even harder. Right, you have back to the rich people puking, shitting, right? Then you see the toilet start to overflow. I'm like, yes, this is amazing. Like, this is every bad thing that could be happening to this people just keeps getting worse and worse. And it's like, yes, this is like justice, just like the most smallest speck of universal justice to all these people who just shit on everybody, treat everybody like they're worthless. And now they actually, the one moment in their entire existence, they're being treated in like all of those ways that they've treated everybody is being condensed and concentrated back in their face, right? And so the toilet's overflowing with the most disgusting shit, right? There's just shit going. It's like the scene almost in The Shining, but instead of blood flowing out of an elevator, it is just hallways just flooding with shit. And then the power goes out, right? Because they're trying to cut off the microphone because they keep going on. Him and Woody, they're both wasted. The captain and the shit king, they're wasted. They're locked in the room. They're not letting him in. And they're just terrifying everybody talking on this microphone. And trying to cut the power out. There's a scene where somebody's going through with a flashlight. All these wealthy people look like just the saddest refugees, right? That they would gladly kick out of every country. They wouldn't even like take a moment's thought to not help them whatsoever. And they're like these sad, huddled masses, right? In their life vests, just like so pathetic, just sitting down. It's amazing. And then you have the captain going on the microphone, spouting just like he wrote some stuff, just spouting all the atrocities the United States is responsible for, right? Our government killed the Kennedy brothers. They killed Martin Luther King. They killed Malcolm X, right? We're responsible for throwing countless legitimately elected democratic countries over and over again. We went to the Middle East and we carved that place up and we caused like endless wars, just going through all of the atrocities that the United States is like responsible for, that all of these people in some ways have like benefited from, right? Especially the arms dealers, right? And it's like goes until the next morning, like cut to the next morning, wide shot of this yacht, you can still hear Woody Harrelson, the captain, over the PA, still spouting the things. So it's like all night these people have been covered in shit, puking, shitting. They wake up the next morning and the PA is still going. Probably never went to sleep. PA still going. And in this wide shot, you slowly see a boat approaching. And you don't know what's on the boat. You just see this thing. It looks almost like a raft. It's like, oh, is there a raft out there floating towards them? It is pirates. It's Somali pirates that are showing up. It's like, oh my God, this movie just keeps going. And there's this scene of the old couple who made all their money selling grenades. And the old lady looks down and she's like, oh, I think this is one of our models. And she picks it up and she looks at it. She hands it to her husband, who's like, puts on his reading glasses, and he's like, realizes that the pin's out. He's like, oh no. Cut to the wide shot again, and just like this of smoke where they were standing. And it's like, oh shit, like this movie will not stop, and I'm loving it. It's like, it's like, oh my God, to think that like, oh, there's going to be these pirates that are going to come and that they're going to now just get killed. And then later there's a much larger explosion that happens. And it's like, holy shit. Like what you see here, like gunfire, and there's the bigger explosion. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I'm like, cheer, fuck yes. These people got by their own product. It was amazing. It's amazing. And then cut to, I had no idea where this movie was going. Cut to a select few stranded on an island. They wash up on some island. I'm like, where is this movie going? And then you see, this is where you see really the power dynamics. Because there's this boat that shows up that has one of the cleaning ladies in it, Abigail. And there's some supplies in there. And when they go to this boat, they get her to open it up. The head of the crew is like still bossing her around as if she's as if she's employed by somebody at this point, as if she's still working on the yacht. She's like, Dick, get the thing, get all these things. We need to get all these things out to here, right? And Abigail's like, it felt so bad. I'm like, oh no, like even in this situation, she's being treated like this, just this employee that's not getting paid, but the power dynamic is still there. And it's like, oh my God, it's like, all that joy I felt with like everything happening the night before, the pissing, the shitting, the vomiting, the pirate attack, the exploding boat, the gunshot, all those things, the PA system. It was like, oh no, it's back to these people pampering these rich people there's like no reason for that. And eventually when Abigail catches the fish, she starts the fire, she cooks the fish, and they're divvying up the food, and she's like, one for you, one for me, one for you, one for me. I'm like, yes, please, yes. And then she's like, this isn't mine. Listen, I may have been the toilet inspector or whatever on the ship, but there's no yacht. This is where we are, right? There, I'm the toilet person. Here, I'm the captain. Who's the captain? She starts asking everybody. You're the captain. Oh, here's a little piece of fish. Like, you're right. She becomes the queen of this situation. This person who was just this Filipino cleaning lady who was, even when she landed there with all the supplies in this like rescue boat, treated like some lowly servant. Just do this, Abigail. I'll go do this, Abigail. And now she's like, no, I am the captain now, right? That's that move that from Captain Phillips. I am the captain now. Amazing. I'm like, yes, Abigail, yes. Even goes to like makes the model dude her like little personal sex toy. I love once they're on the island, it's like the peak, and you see how absolutely worthless all these wealthy people are, how absolutely helpless they are when faced with actual reality, when faced with having to actually do something for their own survival. They still act as selfish and self-centered as ever. And to see Abigail have the power and punish them, Like the two guys who are supposed to watch the fire, they don't, and they end up eating all the pretzels. It's like, oh my God. Like, I love Abigail. I love Abigail. And then you see, like, even still, you see how horrible these people are when bodies start floating to the thing, and the shit king sees his wife. He's like holding her in his arms. He's like crying. And then without a beat, he starts taking all the jewelry off of her, right? As he's like still kind of crying, but really more concerned with getting that jewelry. Like, even still showing the true nature of these people, right? There's a scene where there's like this donkey, and it goes from like this absolute joy, like this victory of these, like this primal victory of these dudes that think that they killed a donkey, and to realize that instantly went to trauma as they realized they didn't actually kill the donkey, and to see what it actually takes to kill the donkey, to see that guy go from like, and the other guys that were like cheering him on, to go from like, yeah, we did it, we're men, rah, and then it's like, oh, we didn't do it, and it's like, oh my God, that was just the most horrific thing that they've ever had to do. Like, really seeing what the dirty work is, that like their assumptions of how easy things are in the real world, and to be confronted with the reality and the brutality of things that are actually happening. Like, this movie puts it in all of their faces in the best ways, you know? And then the end of this movie, a bit ambiguous. I mean, you could kind of tell. I mean, it's kind of a sad ending, I would say, right? Because you have reality crashing back in, where you have Abigail as the leader. She's somebody that had no power before. She's put in this position where she has all of the power because everybody else is dependent on her. They would not survive if not for Abigail, right? And all of their money is meaningless, right? The power dynamics of everything have completely changed in a way that could never happen in any other situation. And when reality comes crashing back, and you see that these worthless, like, model people are now again have the power and are like offering to give her scraps, and it's like, to see what she looks like she's about to do is like so tragic, because it doesn't matter. Like, the moment of power she had, the moment of superiority and control, and like, she was the top shit. She was the most powerful person in that community for that little space and time, when they go back to when capitalism and the quote unquote civilized society comes back to slam them in the face. It is like so tragic that it's like, what does it mean if she did or did not do what it seems like she was going to do? Doesn't matter. She's just going to go back to cleaning. The people, these wealthy people that are now going to live, they're not going to keep their word. But even if they do, what are they going to do? They're going to like throw her some pocket change. Like, even if they gave her like $100,000, right? That's nothing to them. That's absolutely nothing to them. And that's like, it's her life is just back to what it used to be. Just back to being at the bottom of the barrel of society. And just so tragic how it ends. But like, there's so many great moments of like, yes, Abigail. I loved Abigail. She's my favorite character in this movie by far. By far. And it's so unique. You never see a little Filipino woman as this like master of the universe. So awesome. So amazing. She went from toilets to being the captain, and then back to nothing, and just like that. Once society coming back, it's sad. It's so sad, that moment. It's so sad. But anyway, right, this movie, where it started, I regretted my decision. Why am I going to review this on Monday? It's just going to be horror. This is going to be tough. This is going to be a tough movie to get through. I had no idea where it was going to be, where it was going, and I was annoyed. I hated the characters. Had no idea where it was going. And once the captain dinner starts and everything changes, I'm like, it just got better and better and better. Everything changed for the best up until the very end. I never would have guessed that there was going to be a massive diarrhea, vomiting, bad sea, power going out, socialist, reading all of the things that are horrible with capitalism and the United States government and all these, like, the worst hell on earth for all of these people. And then for them to get stranded, had no idea it was going to go there, which is in the trailer. There's a picture of them stranded. It's like, oh, that would have ruined it. I know, like, when they showed up on the beach, like, after the boat blew up, after the pirate attack, I'm like, where is this movie going? And then to see, like, some of them survive and washed up, I thought it was like maybe it was going to be some hostage situation on the boat. Nope. Everywhere I thought this movie was going to go, it went somewhere else in the best way. And even at the end, had no idea that they would find that they happened to just be on a resort, find some luxury elevator at the beach. And it's like, man, so good. I want to watch all this director's movies. He doesn't have a lot of them, so this is his first English-speaking film too. So I love it, man. And I guess thematically, his other movies are very similar as far as taking it to the wealthy and privileged. So I'm all for that for sure. But I absolutely love this movie, man. This movie hits so hard in the best ways. And just never thought, never like to see. I never would have thought I would have been so happy to see a bunch of people puking, a bunch of people like I know what it feels like to have horrible food poisoning where you're like literally exploding out of both ends, naked on a toilet, and those things are coming out. And to see that and to see that happen to horrible people is so joyous, and absolutely loved it. Love this movie, and I want to thank everybody for tuning into this absolutely long review. I hope I didn't I hope you didn't get spoiled, and even if you did, go watch the movie. I'm telling you, go watch the movie. But I want to thank you all for tuning into the Ray Taylor Show. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on the Triangle of Sadness, and it was in many ways the Triangle of Joy for a big chunk of that movie. An hour and a half of that movie was so joyous, and I wouldn't have had that joy if I didn't start off with that pain at the beginning. I think this movie does a great job with allowing you to appreciate these good moments that happen later on in the movie. Don't forget to tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for new movie or TV show reviews, and join the conversation by leaving a comment or a rating on your favorite podcast platform or over on YouTube if you're watching this. But until next time, enjoy the show. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.